What is up, everyone, and welcome to the Mint City Soccer Show. I'm one of your hosts, David Gusler. I'm here with my very good-looking and good friend Matt Swift, wearing his Pop-Tart kit tonight. Had to keep the tradition going there. How are you doing tonight, sir?
I am good. It's always nice to celebrate a victory on Monday.
It's a very good feeling. We're doing the show live, so I'm excited to be able to be all over the interwebs, be on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, wherever this is on, YouTube, Snapchat, whatever. But it's a victory Monday, and we're here to celebrate 3 points after a victory in Charlotte, North Carolina, as Charlotte FC wins their first ever match against the Portland Timbers. So, Matt, I know you weren't there. You were celebrating for other reasons, but we walked away with a good win after Saturday. Sorry. How you feeling?
Feeling pretty good. I thought we played very, very well. I thought we handled a pretty decent Portland side that scores a lot of goals and basically shut them down all game. So just overall, I know we'll get into some individual performances, but yeah, I feel really, really good about the win.
I have to just already call in the comments here, Swift. Elliot Fox says, "Holy shit, it's David Gusler." I'm actually live on the show this week. We had Chantry, Corey, and you for a little while. It feels good to be back. Sorry, I have to just acknowledge that for a quick second. But yeah, that was an interesting matchup for Charlotte against Portland Timbers. Very first time playing. Portland has a pretty rough away stretch here right now, and they travel all the way across the country and take on Charlotte FC and lose 2-0 to us. So let's talk about the game a little bit. We had a little bit of an interesting situation with Corin Vargas being out with yellow card accumulation, being out of the starting lineup, with this game being on a one-match suspension. And then come to find out, like the day of the game, Leo Bada is out with, or quote unquote, questionable before kickoff, but obviously was out for this game. I think with a quad injury or something along the line or something like that. But we had a pretty
quad or
interesting
thigh or something like that.
Got it. So yeah, I mean, we were kind of already thin in the winger position in this game, and come to find out, we go right into it even thinner. So what'd you think about Dean's starting 11, and what'd you think about really the three players up top? And I guess you could call it four players if you count the cam. So how do you think the lineup was and how they perform overall?
It was a little scary seeing Abada not being in the lineup. One of the concerns is, of course, us scoring goals, and when you have someone of his caliber and his status not being able to play, that I was kind of like, oh no. But the players that did play, they came in and did really well and were able to make an impact. I just did something very, very stupid, David. You're going to have to take over for a second. I did not plug in my laptop, so I will be back in a second.
Oh man, this is the wonderful feeling of doing a live show. So welcome to the David Gusler Show. Oh, Corey ruined it. No, I'm just joking.
I'll fill in with you for a second just to filibuster while Matt figures out.
This is amazing. So, Corey, let me ask you, man. So thanks for filling in here real quick so no one doesn't have to see my face for an extended period of time. But did you watch the show live, Corey? I think you were out and about, weren't you? I think you're at the festival this weekend.
I was at the festival, which we can talk about later because some of the questions relate to this a little bit too.
Nice.
But no, so I was at the festival, had no self-service, so no ability to check the score while there. I don't know if it was just a Verizon thing or like everybody. There was no self-service to this thing. So we left a little bit early that night though because we had the girls with us, and so I checked the score and actually watched the last 20-ish minutes on the train back to the park and ride, and then I came home and watched the whole match again once we got home and settled in and put the girls to bed. So it was one of those wonderful moments of getting to watch the match with zero stress because I knew how it ended, which probably would have felt very different if I didn't know how it ended because there were some moments, but it was a good experience getting to watch it with knowing what the result was and being excited about that. So yeah, it was good.
What was your initial reaction? Maybe you didn't see it live or what, but from the starting 11 perspective, as we get Swift caught back up here, what was your initial reaction when you looked on paper to seeing us not start Enzo Copetti, so down one DP, having Leo Bada being out, no DP, having Corin Vargas, U22 player, out, not playing, right? So if you look at it on paper, we were like super razor thin going into this matchup against Portland. So on paper, what was your initial thoughts when that starting 11 got announced?
Yeah, I mean, it's a little scary. I mean, I think a lot of young guys, a lot of, not having any of your DPs out there is always a little scary. So it was interesting, and I know Portland's not maybe one of the great Portland teams, but like Portland's always a little scary. Like I don't care kind of what year it is. Like you see that team come in, even if they have some guys knocked and out of the match for various reasons, they're a scary team to have come in. So playing a tough team like that with, you know, some of our best players either on the bench or not available for the match was a little scary, but it also was, you know, again, I'm trying to make sure I keep perspective of this season and say part of what I want to see is people getting opportunities, young guys getting opportunities and figuring out who should be on this team long term and who shouldn't. And I think that was what happened is you got to see some of the younger guys try to make a mark out there, and some did more so than others. So I thought that was, actually watching it play out was nice. So
Absolutely. Well, I see that Swift's back. So welcome back, Swift.
What a rookie move on my part, man. How many shows have I done?
I don't know.
Wow.
Hey, man, it's not the first time. It won't be the last time. So, but I mean, so Corey made a good point that we had a lot of young players starting in the starting 11, Swift, and I think that's been kind of the theme this season is that we've gotten a lot of production out of the younger players that we've had on this team. Is that right?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought this up because one of the things I want to mention on tonight's show was think about just how impactful Crown Legacy has been to this squad and also to our super draft picks. How ridiculous is that? Like this, I don't think this is normal for one team to have this many picks and these many players actually make an impact or even play. A lot of times these super draft picks are traded away. They don't get any minutes, but even Tiger Smalls now is starting to factor in things and get some minutes. So yeah, it's nice to see some of these young guys stepping up. You know, Petkovic is a prime example. Brought him into Legacy, and now he's stepping up very well. You know, Vargas is young. You know, Tavares, he played well too. All these are young guys, and you know, we're going to be getting back Brandon Cambridge and some other folks too. So it's very, very comforting to know that our young players are doing well.
Yeah, and I think it's going to help us out long term because we've got in the summertime like Leagues Cup coming up. You've got a stretch of home games like right now, or a stretch of games in May. That's got a lot of, I don't want to say schedule congestion because that was something that the league was supposed to fix with Open Cup, but neither here or there. But you have a stretch of a lot of games, and then you have Leagues Cup put in there. Having these younger players and get time and minutes and depth is going to be really key for long-term success. So that way you don't pull a Miami where you win the Leagues Cup and then just flounder out towards the back half of the season like last year. Granted, that's a one-off situation because of how badly they started. But I wanted to kind of pick your brain on Nikola a little bit too, because that's someone that we brought through Crown Legacy last year and was able to, I don't want to say stash him, but was able to bring him on, kind of like buy him at Legacy and then sell him or bring him up into the senior roster at Charlotte Football Club. What's your thoughts on his performance? I know, I think Brian from Top Bin put out a quote or tweet earlier about his production has been really off the charts for those 2.5 games he's played for Charlotte Football Club out of the 10 or 11 games he played. Do you think he's the long-term answer for a cam role? Is that where he's going to be kind of in the spot currently? And then what do you think the long-term plans are for him on this team?
Well, I think right now it's his spot to lose. I think he did a good job in that role, better than anybody else that we've seen. I think I said this last show that he's very versatile though, so you can move him around in the middle of the field when needed. You know, if Deani can't go, Westwood can't go, we have some injury concerns, stuff like that. You can move him around that midfield and be perfectly fine. So that's what I really, really like about him. But it was a really good move by the front office of getting him into Legacy, not hitting Charlotte FC's cap space, letting him get some minutes. And it's worked out really, really well. And he looked really dangerous Saturday night. He had, outside of the goal, he probably could have scored a hat trick. He should probably buried the first 2 chances, but you know, ended up getting his goal, and he just looked dangerous all night. He was in really good pockets of space. He was moving well off the ball, and that's something that I mentioned in the match preview. Is he was really good at once we have the ball, getting in good spots and making good runs. And there was a lot of times, if you go back and look at that game, he made additional runs, but just didn't get the ball. And I think he was a little frustrated, but he's making those runs and getting in good spaces. So I just like everything that I'm seeing so far. I don't want to, brand him the next star or anything like that. I don't think that's fair. I think, he needs to develop more, but it's so refreshing to see his style of play when we really need someone in that number 10 role that can actually do something.
Yeah, and not to transition too much, but who we thought was our starting cam at the beginning of the year, Breck was actually playing a winger role just based off the depth, the players who were out, injured, etc. What do you think from him? Because I know we were pretty critical on him on Soccer and Coffee, another episode previously. I thought that he looked decent on the wing there. Honestly, like I feel like he plays better on the wing than he does in the middle of the field, which I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. But so I mean, he seemed like he was playing with kind of like what Enzo, and we'll talk about him later, but was playing with some little bit of fire, trying to make an impact, was showing hustle. There's a few moments there where he was actually like pushed to the edge of the box, was actually trying to make a play and crosses, dribbled out of bounds a few times, which I think Ashley kind of got frustrated with him later on in the game because of that. But yeah. He was trying to create, which is what we've been looking for. So what do you think from his impact in this game from someone we've been pretty critical of?
Yeah, I thought this was one of his better games. I really liked how much he hustled on the wings to play defense. I've got to tell this before I forget. There was a really funny moment in the first half around the 20th minute mark, somewhere around there. And I just happened to go back and watch it. He makes this like really, really god-awful slide tackle attempt. It's really, really bad. And, gets called for a foul. But in the background, you could see Enzo and Urso on the bench, and they are dying laughing at that slide. And I love that so much.
You said it's at the 20th minute. I'll have to go back and find
it. It's around that minute. Yeah. I mean, it's a god-awful slide tackle attempt. But it cracked me up because those two on the bench were just dying laughing. And it was a kind of fun moment because, you mentioned Enzo, and we've been critical of him, but it was good to see him. He didn't start, so I know that was frustrating, but he's on the bench and he's not sulking. He's not with his head down, his arms crossed or anything like that. I mean, him and Urso were definitely having some fun at that expense. But I do appreciate Breck's hustle. I thought he played a lot better, and yeah, he has a tendency to kind of drift wide anyway. So I don't know, maybe.
Correct. Yeah.
It could be good that he's a little versatile too, that we can move him around when needed, like when something like, Abada being out happens. I still want more from him, but I think this game was a good step in the right direction.
For those who kind of missed this or maybe not have saw this, Swift, can you explain a little bit? And I know you're not Von Stradamus here that can talk through about cap and DP spots and TAM and whatever all the different acronyms are. But the league came out, which I thought was really cool, that fans have been asking for more transparency on roster rules and roster construction and salary cap and cost, etc. So the league came out early this week with basically a breakdown of every team, what spot they took up, what the international player, U22, etc. But it was interesting for those who may not have known this, but Breck shows up as a designated player for Charlotte FC currently. So can you explain what that is and why the team has that set up that way?
Yeah, from my understanding, unless you're maybe Miami, your team has to be in compliance. So that means you have to have certain designations for certain players, and you have to meet certain standards of the league. It's my understanding that they went ahead and quote unquote made him a DP level player, even though he's not really, just for the sake of meeting compliance. That will change in the summer. Don't worry about us like having to do anything crazy. This was planned from what I heard, months ago. Like this was kind of planned. Like this is what we're gonna do. Summertime, he'll go back down to a TAM level player. We'll get another DP. So, yeah, it's just temporary, and I think it's just roster, regulations and stuff.
Well, and I think from what I understand too, it actually helps the team save a little bit of money because if Brecht wasn't a DP, he would be listed as like a TAM player, correct? Not to get into roster talk and money spending, etc. But those kind of funds can be used for other players, like a Nathan Byrne or an Ashley Westwood or other players that they can bring onto the team and save that money. And then when the summertime comes, say Carroll's officially sold, they now can buy Brecht down. You now have Abada and Enzo, and now you could have another DP spot, and you saved money for half the year to build another roster. So
that is correct.
Yeah. So it, credit to Zoran, the team for really kind of doing that. I know on paper, a lot of people were probably like, what the hell are we doing? But if you dig into it more, you can actually see it was pretty smart move by the front office at that point.
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome. So we talked about Brecht a little bit. We talked about Nikola a little bit too, but for a player that came in and had a not so great impact the week before, but we had Tavares who started this game. So not to go player by player, but just someone else I wanted to kind of highlight a little bit. What do you think about his performance? Did he kind of make up for his performance in the last game where he came on and kind of had some poor defending, or what was your thoughts on his performance in this game?
I think defensively he was a lot better. I probably got a Stern talking to. And I think he's a good player. He's very raw. But I think positionally he can learn, defensively he can learn. These things could be taught. But he played, oh my God, a absolute brilliant ball to Petkovic on a kind of a breakaway that he had that Petkovic, should have scored. But yeah, he's another player that had, struggled a little recently, hasn't had a ton of minutes. But it's good to see him out there and again have some depth when things don't go our way. We get an injury we didn't account for. It's good to have people like that step up.
Yeah, I'm reading the comments here a little bit here, Swift, and there's a few So there's a few here I just want to pull up here. So Blake first said, just based off the Brecht talk earlier, he was never out of bounds either time. So I actually think the first time he wasn't out of bounds either. The second time I thought he was pretty close or was out, but I just like the fact that he was pushing and trying to get into the box to make a play there for a little bit. And then Jay even came on and said that it does conserve the limited TAM funds that the team has. So that's always great. But then I wanted to get to this comment just because Zoltan, sorry, from where's my car? But he says, anyone else want to throw up the Zoltan hand symbol anytime Zoran comes up? So now anytime we say Zoran, we got to go like that just to kind of, or is it this way? I don't know. I gotta figure out which way my camera's mirrored. So, and this question just came in from Michael here, so I'm gonna pull this up. So, quick question: did the roster release give us any insight of how Miami can afford to do this? So, just speaking of Miami, did it help kind of clarify for you, Swift, if like the league is colluding with Miami to make them cheat and all these different things like that, or did it actually make more sense here?
It made, I think, a little more sense. I believe, and this is just my personal opinion, I think the reason why they're able to get big time players and only pay them like TAM level money is all the extra endorsements that they're going to get within the city. I think they're able to say, hey, come here, we can only pay you this amount of money. However, we're going to set this up for you in this market. You'll be able to do this, this, and this, and we can kind of either like quote unquote guarantee you this amount of money, or hypothetically you can get this amount of money. I think that's how, and Miami's a hot market and you're playing for David Beckham. So I get it. And, now Messi's here. I mean, anybody would want to play for him or play with him. So I just think that there's other incentives that they can probably put in there to help with that.
Well, I think it's also two things. One, it's Miami. So it is the pillar of everything nice and, human morals, everything like that. There's no such thing as hush money and money under the table in Miami at all.
Wow, you are trash in Miami.
So I would say that. And then second of all, I would say, just like you said, they could also say, hey, come live in sunny Florida. There's no state income tax. So you're not going to lose out on that income.
There you go. So, man, you were.
I'm not trashing Miami, the team.
What did Miami do to you?
No, I just, it's Miami, man. It's Vice City. It's, whatever. So also I'm going to get all the Miami fans.
I mean, technically it's like later. Fort Lauderdale. Let's be honest.
It is the Fort Lauderdale, inner Fort Lauderdale. So, Awesome, man. So let's talk a little bit about. I guess we were just talking about Tavares a second ago, but I have to ask your thought and opinion on that PK or quote unquote non PK call. So in the first half, it was a pretty tight match, but towards the end of the first half, there's a moment where Tavares is pressing into the box, trying to make a play, and I thought he got a little contact, but it's soccer, man. If you get any contact in the box, you're gonna fall down. Like you're coached that, you're taught that. You get touched or anything, you fall in the box because you're going to help create a penalty. And I think he did that. Penalty was called. They went to VAR, and I'll talk about the new VAR rules with the announcement in a second. But then it comes out that they don't call it a PK, and then they give him a yellow card for like what? Embellishment of like the
simulation.
Sorry, embellishment. Yeah, sorry, simulation.
It's same
like,
thing.
Yeah, can you explain this to me, or like how they even got to that point where that is simulation?
When I saw the call live, I jumped out of my seat. Let me preface. I had a lot of mint juleps. It was the Kentucky Derby, right? And we always have a Kentucky Derby party. So I had a lot to drink that day. So seeing it live, I was like, hell yes, penalty, let's go. Like I was super excited for him. And then
went flying in the air. Like it's just amazing, right?
But then when I saw the replay, I was like, oh yeah, that's not. And Fatbird Donnie was here at the house. I was like, yeah, that's not a penalty. And so, I mean, I agree with the call. I don't think it was a penalty. Card was a little harsh because it was borderline. So the card there was a little weird to me.
That's what I'm saying. I actually agree that it wasn't a penalty. Like I was hoping it would go our way, but I didn't think it was anything, or just crazy that it was gonna be an actual penalty. But like to call it simulation, like dude, half of soccer is simulation. Like the whole point of that card system for simulation is to really punish like the crazy amount of like if it was just oh my god, it wasn't even close to being touched, and he screamed like he broke his leg and went rolling across the field. Like that would be a yellow card. That's not simulation to me. But Corey, Corey, come off the screen. I gotta see what he says here.
No, I think it was. I mean, it was maybe a little bit harsh, but I agree with the call because if you watch it, he flings his left leg out pretty wide on purpose to make contact, and then flops like he got clobbered. I mean, it was pretty bad. Like he flung that leg. It didn't look as like do 7 barrel rolls simulation like you see sometimes, but it was. He created all the contact throwing that left leg out. I agree with Matt. Like when I first saw it, I was like, "Oh, that's great." And I saw replay, I was like, "Oh, nope, absolutely not."
Can we also do a thing where Corey, you just hop on real quick and do hot takes and then hop back off, and then
only if I have strong opinions.
I need you to read your hot take about the boosters. It's just a second ago, sir, that you sent in the private chat here.
I just was saying that Miami thing with them being able to get the players and say like, oh, we got these endorsement deals for you. It's like 90s era Miami Hurricanes football with their football boosters, and it's like you can come here and play for us, and we'll pay for your education, but also all these boosters would love to have you here, and they just stand there with their large like bags of coins and hand them over to the players. So it's the MLS's version of 90s Hurricanes football.
I'm sure they take care of their families in a certain way. I'm sure there's certain incentives for sure that they can kind of get around.
They could live in corporate housing, which is like on some private island or something like that. Like who knows? See, I mean, like. So thanks, Corey. I appreciate that. But no, I just had to get your thoughts on that, Swift, because like to me, I thought it was harsh for the yellow, but maybe I'm on the anomaly here from that. But Charlotte went into the half 0-0, which I made my first sports bet, Swift, because I was in Jersey the week before, and I bet that it would be a draw at half, so I won.
Nice. Congrats! Yeah, congrats.
Yeah, I had a parlay with that, but it was on Patrick Aljamain to score, and he did not.
He about did too. Yeah, I want to talk about that play really quick. He did a really good job. Him and Diani were able to get a turnover. They both kind of worked together, and Diani played the ball to him. And Patrick does a really, really good job of, one, beating someone off a dribble, and then being able to use his speed and like his body to muscle off someone and get that shot off. And it was actually a really, really good shot because it was a good save by the goalkeeper. But yeah, I wanted to mention that because like that's what you get with Patrick. And he's only going to get better. And so like I hope we pay him some more money. I hope he stays around. I still think he shouldn't be the starter because we have a designated player that should be the starter. But man, like I really love Patrick, man. Like just as a person and just how he plays and I love seeing him do well.
So speaking of like, I guess Deani and Pat, and one thing that stood out to me with Deani, because this was his first start again after quote unquote being, I think what, like I don't want to say benched, but he went with a different lineup for NYC FC with Junior Urso. What'd you think about Deani? Like one thing that stands out to me is that like he is very Derek Jones-esque, where he's just very big bodied. You feel like he's about to lose possession of the ball, but is able to kind of muscle off players and shield the ball. There was one play where he tackled a guy, was able to basically keep him off of it, and then the guy came back that he took the ball from and tackled him from the side and got a penalty and a call out of that, right? Mm-hmm. And so he does seem like he is very possessive in the midfield, but then it does hold on to the ball just ever so slightly sometimes, a little bit too long. But what do you think about him and his performance for someone that has just, I feel like, come out of nowhere for us as fans?
I want to say this. I think he's way better than Derek Jones. I think that is 100% an upgrade at that position. I know a lot of people love Derek Jones. Again, Derek Jones is a great guy. Want nothing but the best for him, but I think Gianni is better. I think he's better on the ball. He's able to do what Derek Jones couldn't do, is pass the ball forward and make those like threaded through balls. That's what you get. Yeah, Gianni, had a kind of a bad game, got benched, but comes back, and I thought he played brilliantly this game.
Yeah, I've been really happy with him. And again, it seems like the theme of this episode is like the young guys are stepping up a lot. Like Gianni, Tavares, you've had Nikola step up, Pat step up. Like it seems like it's been really, really great to see these young guys fill a void for us and contribute across the board.
Yeah, I mean, the future, I think, is really, really bright. Again, I keep saying, don't get too high, don't get too low, and just think like we don't even have our third DP yet, and that's coming, and that could fill a role that we desperately have needed. I think we have a lot more depth than I think people realize. Hopefully, after this game, Enzo can really get going now. So I really like the way this team is coming together and what we're kind of building here. Oh God. Oh, I thought Corey was coming back in.
No. He's about to disagree with your hot take. No, you're good. So
I was like, yes, Corey's coming in something.
So speaking of that, let's transition to the second half and talk about the goals a little bit, and then we can talk about Enzo and a few other players. But walk me through Nikola's goal, because like to me, that was a pretty impressive goal for being able to split defenders like that. What's your thoughts on that goal from that point of view? And I'm glad that he was able to finally finish it, because he definitely deserved one through this game and be able to get his first goal in MLS. What's your thoughts on that?
It just takes balls, man. That's what I like about him. He has the balls to go forward and try something. Again, that particular play, he got in a very good position to receive that ball. He moved well off the ball as we were coming forward, received it, and just kind of sensed the defender, took a longer touch. It got right past him, and he was right kind of in the box. So I think the defenders were also kind of scared to maybe foul him there. Gets past him, and then the shot itself, he could have gone far post, which is what typically people will do. But I think the keeper left too much of a gap at that near post, and Petkovic saw it and then and hit it low and got it home. And I'm really glad for him too, because he had those two other chances that he missed. And I believe his family was in town too, so that's awesome. Always nice. Yeah, that's always nice to score when your folks are there too. So.
Well, he almost scored like shortly after that off of, I want to say like it was a corner or some kind of free kick that swung in, and he knocked the hell out of that ball, and it hit the net. And I think a lot of folks initially thought we scored.
He might have one of the best, if not the best, shots on the team that I've seen. I really like Yeri's kind of like free kicks, but I think Petkovic might have the best shot on the team. I mean, Westwood, of course, he only scores nothing but volleys and bangers. So, but I really like the way Petkovic shoots the ball.
That's awesome, man. So So let's talk about the subs that came in. So Charlotte was up 1-0, and you had Enzo come onto the field for Pat, and Pat almost scored off a corner again. There was an opportunity here and there. But let's talk about Enzo, because I know I've been fairly critical of him. Others have been critical of him at times. What was your impression on Enzo in this game? The way he came in, the hustle that he did, etc. What's your thoughts on Enzo? And I'll give you mine after that.
Well, he finally got rewarded for the thing that he's been doing all season long. He has always, all season, hustled and pressured players. How this goal comes about is he presses, he catches a player off guard, he wins the ball, and then he does the thing that he's not been able to do all season, and that's finish it off. And it was so great to see, because he looked determined once he got the ball. He was headed to goal. He wasn't really looking around too much. He was determined that to get forward. I think he was very, very hungry, and maybe had a little bit of a chip on his shoulder to get that goal. And again, it was very well taken. He could have went back post again. It was very well done. So I'm very, very happy for him.
Yeah, one of the things that even came out, and I know it was asked post game, and I can't remember who it was, so apologies for me not remember who asked the question to the dean, but they asked what his thoughts were and why he didn't start Enzo, and he point blank said, "Listen, he had a conversation with Enzo before the game, explained to him why he didn't start him, played Pat instead. So Pat's been playing pretty well, and frankly, you have not been playing well enough," and gave him specifics on it. And he said, "Yeah, Enzo was upset," which you would hope that a player is upset. They want to start. They want to play. You know what I mean? It would be a totally different story if he told Enzo, "Hey, this is why you're not starting. You're not doing this X, Y, Z," and you just go and sulk or pout or do whatever it is. So I'm actually happy you got upset about it and play with a chip on his shoulder from that point of view. Corey keeps teasing us here.
He keeps pump faking. No, it is nice, because he could have very well been angry and sat on the bench and sulked. And I agree. Patrick's just been better. I mean, the stats tell you that. Enzo may get paid more, but Patrick's been the one that's been more dangerous. And for me, that's who you start. But it is nice that Enzo was able to come off the bench and do the things that he's been doing, but also finally doing the things that he hasn't done, which is shoot the ball. So and score. So hopefully this will open up the floodgates. Maybe we can get some more production out of him. But I'm still leaning towards starting Patrick. I haven't seen anything otherwise, and maybe that's the dynamic for a little bit until something changes there.
Yeah, I liked him coming off the bench there. I know that's not ideal to be like, "Here's my $6 million DP, and you're going to play 20 minutes and come off the bench." But if it works and you get goals, you can't mess with that, right? So, but I appreciated Enzo. I know some folks had some comments about his celebration, after the goal, etc. I don't know if you want to touch on that at all or anything like that, but I was really impressed with him coming in after getting kicked in the face, which ironically didn't get called for a penalty or a yellow card or anything, and was able to come in there and score shortly right after that. I didn't read too much about the celebration, but Matt Nolan even says here, who was Copetti silencing with the celebration? Odd to see that in a home stadium, right? So
he was probably silencing us.
He said Matt Swift and David Gusler. Shh.
I kind of go back and forth on this. I don't really like how he celebrated, but also too, I'm trying to put myself in his shoes. He's been getting a lot of criticism. I think rightly so, though. And when your coach is also telling you that you're not doing well enough. But he puts his fingers in his ears to kind of I don't hear the noise, or whatever. But then he does the shushing thing too. And we're trying to figure out, he was at the other end, and I don't know if it was shushing the away crowd, which I'm perfectly fine with. I love that. But kind of to shush the haters up, maybe. I don't know. I don't know how much I like that, but also I get that he's been super frustrated and to go this long without scoring, and I probably hearing it all day, every day. I kind of get it a little bit, but I want to see him get really excited. I feel like he has so much time between goals. Like he's not as pumped, like I feel like he's just like, oh, get off my back already. That type of goal celebration, like I wanted to see him get like super excited. What I loved and what I want to say, and the team, I'm glad that they put this out. There was a really awesome video of Vargas and Enzo hugging in the tunnel, and you could see Vargas's reaction of like how much it means. So I'm glad that the team was able to capture that, and also too, man, like, we give players a lot of crap, but they are human too at the same time, and you just got to remember that. And it's okay to celebrate someone when you've been critical of them and they actually do something nice. It doesn't change if they should start or not, but it's okay to be like, hey, good job. So
give him a boy. That was joking. So it's interesting to see too. Like Vargas and Enzo obviously have some kind of special connection there because even after that goal, even after the shushing and the plugging the ears, etc., he still went over there. And this is the nerdy guy. I mean, he went over there and did the Dragon Ball Z, fusion, celebration. Even though Vargas wasn't playing, it was out. He did that to celebrate it, and then he came into the locker room or the tunnel and celebrated with Vargas at that point.
Yeah.
So
I love all that.
There.
Hey, Corey.
I was actually trying to come on this time, not before. Nice. But I was going to mention this in the Q&A, but since we're bringing this up now, I'll go ahead and jump in and say it now. I wasn't there. Again, we talked about that, but that's the corner I normally sit in. And you mentioned this, Matt, but that is where, if there is an away section, I have no idea what kind of away section they had this week, but that's where the away section sits. And even beyond that, there are usually a decent bit of people who just like buy single away tickets over there. So I don't know. He could have been shushing us. It's hard to tell, but giving him the benefit of the doubt, I was like, there usually are some away fans in that corner who could have been giving him all kinds of hell. So, okay. So there's Nate. There's my buddy Nate. I love it. So
maybe that's what it was. Yeah. We'll give him the benefit of the doubt there.
Yeah,
I'm willing.
I don't know. I mean, we know how we kind of go back and forth on Copetti and things like that, but I didn't want to read too much into that because of where he actually scored the goal. If he did that on the other side of the field, then we have a very different conversation. But where he was, I could see that being a silencing the away fan situation.
Awesome. So Kurt pulled up, asked a question here. And says, help us understand the high kick rule. Why wasn't that a foul when Enzo got kicked in the head just before his goal? That's a great question. I don't know. It should have been a penalty or a foul, I think. I don't understand it at all.
I never understand some of those rules. It's just, you see it all over the world. Like some high kicks are like just a foul. Some are like straight reds. It's just not consistent.
Awesome. And then Jay came on just a second ago too. Does Enzo deserve patience? And if so, by who and why? So
Jay does not like Enzo, dude. Like, Jay, give it a rest, man. We get it, man. Seriously.
So what I'll just say is this. I think I'm not saying we give him patience or criticism is rightfully deserved to a certain extent. Like, I know I've been critical of him and there's been opportunities there. I'm also going to just give him the benefit of the doubt because he's a player of our team and I want to support him and I'm going to do what I can to a certain extent. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Granted, like, I would be critical, but I want to support him too.
Yeah, I've been very angry at him. And again, I just like, we spent all this money on a player and he hasn't been performing and, only had like 10 shots coming in this game. It's been very bad. But at the same time, it is one of our players. So I don't care. Like, I want them to do well. So I'm not going to just shit on them every chance I get. When they do something, when they do something good, I'm going to call it out. Just like when they do something bad, I'm going to call it out. So my patience is running very, very thin. But a performance like this helps with that. And we'll just see what he does next game. I'm not going to just bag on him just because, but again, he has to prove it on the field. So.
Absolutely. So I think that's a good segue and call out there too. So as we get towards the end of the game, we saw a few more subs come on. You had Brent Bronico come on, Junior Urso come on a little bit too. Any kind of like final thoughts on them before we start kind of transitioning to the fan Q&A, as we got quite a few?
Yeah, no, I really liked, Brant and Urso, like those types of players. I love how this team is, like I said, getting constructed. Those are the guys that you bring on with the lead and you just shut things down, right? You bring in some like a little bit of bite in there, some people that can win, duels and things like that, and those two guys are really, really tough. So I love this type of stuff. Like, have your finesse guys out there, your creators, get a lead, and then bring on the folks that can shut people down. And that dynamic's not going to work for every game, depending on who we're playing. But I do like that Brant's healthy now. We have Urso, we have other people coming back, and we're going to have some more options. So it's good.
So one of the questions just came up from Blake. What was up with the Mexican flag section? I've never seen that before. I'm not really sure. I hate to say this. All three of us weren't at this game, so I have no idea. Swift wasn't at the game. Corey wasn't at the game. I wasn't at the game. So it sounds terrible for us to be a podcast and not be at our home game there. So, but mint juleps were had and music was had. So
what's up with the Mexican flag section? I've never seen.
Oh, I know what they're talking about. No. It's an Italian flag. Yeah, thanks, Greg. So no. So Sean tweeted that out earlier. So that was a community group of local based like Italian immigrants, Italian, families in the Charlotte market. And they were in the community section. And what they did is they wore the colors of the Italian flag to represent their community. That's what it was. I'm like, wait a second. I'm like, I get the confusion, same colors, but I had to pause there for a second. I was like, I'm not really sure. But yeah, no, check out I think Sean McIntosh on Twitter and Instagram posted some information about them and who they're about a little bit. But no, thanks, Greg. Kind of saved me there for a second. I'm like, I had no idea. So there you go. Thanks, Greg.
Call a friend. Call a friend.
Yeah, there we go. Kurt even said we heard at Mid-City Slack it was an Italian club. So yeah, it's just a, of course, Sean McIntosh, Italian native, I guess, is gonna, get some Italians to come support the club. So that's good.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. Were you ready to transition to some Q&A? Because we got a good bit of questions here a little bit.
Yeah, let's do it.
Now we can bring Corey on for real now. That'd be good.
Can't stop me, guys. You can't stop
me. There we go.
All right. Let's and keep throwing in some questions into the chat. Obviously, we'll come back to that. We do have some that we got from beforehand. All right, this is why I'm going to talk. I'm going to keep calling on Nate because this is why I like sitting beside him.
Yeah.
Again, he's a ref. He said the high kick dangerous play should have been called and then should have been whistled dead, even if there was not a foul in the opinion of a referee because of the head injury, which is what I thought too. I was surprised they kept playing, like whether or not they like call a foul or do whatever. Like you see a high kick to the face.
That's a good point.
Blow the whistle and at least assess what happened if it's a head injury. So yeah,
he even paused for like 30 seconds, let the play come on, and then he's looking at him holding his head and goes, "Oh, okay." Like when he waves him on instantly, I'm like, dude, like that's poor management by the referee there because like that.
Yeah,
it could have been bad, and he just let him sit there for 30 seconds, 45 seconds before he whistled it dead.
But I don't think I've ever seen Copetti as fired up as he was after that happened.
Like, he was no nonsense.
Different level.
Yeah,
like, he sprinted over to the might have already talked a little bit, but like halfway line and was like ready to come on, and like almost immediately made the interception for the. I mean, it was.
Yeah,
I was like, if this is what kickstarts his season, like,
whatever
works, I'll take it.
You get pushed, you get pushed too far, man. It's just one step too much, man. You react.
It's his Eras tour. It's his moment there, Corey.
Yeah, I do have to say, just as a personal story, again, I was watching this on the train, and cell service is real spotty. So I'm watching, and I see him intercept the throw in, and like get a breakaway, and it's him and the keeper, and my phone freezes.
Oh no!
And I'm like,
that's the worst.
No, so I have to reload it. And of course, that says something. I mean, me being negative, I was like, I bet he'll find a way to miss this. I bet he'll find a way to miss it. And once I got it reloaded, I saw 2-0. I was like, all right. Of course, I didn't watch it and he actually scored, so I had to go back and find it later. But it was just the perfect, like, froze right as he was breaking away toward the keeper. I was like, you've got to be kidding me. All right. Let's jump into some questions. And again, like we said, throw them in the comments. If you're watching live, we will grab those and pull them up as we go along too. So let's jump into some ones we got from before the show, though. So Matt Chantry, sometimes co-host, always fan, friend of the pod, all that fun stuff. He says, why do people decide not to come to games based on the weather reports 3 to 4 days prior to games? The weather during the game itself was basically perfect. No issues at all. I have some opinions and thoughts and things I would add, but I'll let y'all kick it off first. Do you want to start, Matt?
Sure. Well, I think, the diehards are gonna be there, most of the time, 99% of the time. I think where the weather comes into play is the large amount of casual fans that we have, and I think that's something that we all need to kind of like think about. And it's really kind of cool. We have a ton of casual fans, and I think that's absolutely fantastic. And that's why some of the times I come on here and I kind of like say, "Hey, watch out for this. Don't gatekeep like the wave thing. Like don't be too upset about that because we have so many people that they don't come to every game. Maybe this is their first season. But yeah, I think that the weather there will kind of keep those people away. And I think that's the difference between your 2025 27K and your 35K. I do think we have that many casual fans.
Yep.
Also, there was a huge music festival.
Yeah.
So, and here's the thing, like Charlotte always has something going on, and we have multiple sports teams. So I tweeted this out. Like, I'm just really pumped what we have. If 27, hell, 20 is a letdown, that really should say something about this community, that we're kind of like, oh man, is something wrong? We only had 27,000 fans there. I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah. How about you, David? Anything?
I don't have anything else to add to it from what Swift said, but I'll say this. Where's Chantry from? Do you guys remember where he's from? What country? Sorry, as Swift almost spits out his drink. But where's Chantry from?
Is he from Canada?
No, not Canada. The other Providence that was part of England.
He loves the rain, man. He loves the rain.
Right. He's from England. It's like rainy Jury there like 95% of the time anyway. So
I feel like Chantry would do really well in Seattle.
I think you
or
would
Portland.
Too, but no. So I'm just messing with Chantry there. But no, I do think it's part of the casual fan experience. I think it sticks out like a sore thumb a little bit more too, just because we are playing in an NFL stadium versus a soccer specific stadium. So it's the seats are spread out more. They're farther from the pitch. It's gonna look, I don't want to say bad, but it's gonna stick out more when we don't have that 35,000. Even though if you look at some of the biggest soccer specific stadiums in the US, 27,000 would still sell out a lot of those. Like Minnesota, they have a soccer specific stadium and it fits 19,000.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, that's what I was gonna say too. I think the weather's part of it. I mean, because you gotta think about families and stuff like that. Like if you've got a family, you've got to like take younger kids, and you're gonna get rained on the whole time. Like that starts to change your.
And then
your
you have to ride the train with Corey and stuck with the festival people.
We're all muddy and it's disgusting. But no, I don't want to discount. I think the weather was part of it because the week before the weather was part of it too. Like
exactly.
it was scheduled to be really bad weather and people didn't show up, and it ended up being a beautiful night. But I would say for I wouldn't discount how much of an impact the music festival had, because that's why I wasn't there. And I saw a ton of Charlotte FC jerseys on Saturday, and people wearing like the season ticket member hats, and
cool.
Clearly people who were either season ticket members like me or were probably those casual fans who would have gone anyway. But there's I don't know how many people were at that music festival, but it was a ton. So like you gotta kind of take that draw. Plus, I mean, like Cinco de Mayo is this weekend. I mean, there's just a lot of stuff going on.
The Kentucky Derby. That's why I wasn't there.
Kentucky Derby. Yeah, I mean, there's just a lot going on, and I think you're gonna see that in the next couple of weeks, even maybe a little bit too. Like next weekend, you've got the Wells Fargo, which is why I won't be there. I've got tickets to the Wells Fargo on Saturday. I'm going to that.
Look at this guy over here.
No, regular grounds tickets. I got the regular people tickets. But I'll be at that. There's college graduation start next week. It's Mother's Day next weekend. Like this is kind of May is kind of a tough month to have 5 home games in a row, because there's a lot going on in this time of year. So it doesn't surprise me. But again, I'll go back to exactly what you said, Matt, is that if that's having those kind of numbers is a bad night, like I'll take that right now. And then when things settle down and Charlotte FC is one of the only things going on a Saturday night in the summer, and it's packed, it's great. So I can't be too mad about it.
And I think Joe LeBou tweeted out that we're already at 30K for Nashville, and they're opening up the upper level. So I think we'll be right back to having 30, 35 plus. So I'm good with it, man. I like I said, I think we've built something pretty good. I think everybody's invested. And we got all these casual fans, man. So it's all good stuff.
I have to mention this, Corey, real quick before you go to the other one. Nate, your friend, just popped this up. and he says, "It was an interesting day overall on Saturday. So interesting that the fourth official had to be called up on the field because the sideline ref like pulled a hamstring or something like that. So not making fun of the injury or anything like that, but like how often do you see that where all of a sudden it's like the 30th minute and you just look over and the referee's getting his like hammies like stretched out?
Well, the funny thing to me was like, was it Arfield that ran over and like pretend stretched out his other leg, like looking back at the bench laughing? Like, what was that about? So
Dude, Arfield's a funny dude, man.
Sorry, I just had to pull that up because it was an interesting moment. And then I think I wasn't listening to the game live on that with the radio or everything like that. But apparently, like Jess was like going in pretty hard on the referees and the VAR ref and everything like that like from the radio broadcast. If there's a way to go back and listen, I want to hear it. But I just have to hear that a little bit. But it's an interesting weekend.
Yep, no doubt. All right. The next question I had, I'm not gonna. We were fighting each other on.
Sorry, no, you're good. That's my fault.
The other question, I'll just pull it up. We're not gonna answer because we already answered it, but just because I like to shout out people who ask questions because we appreciate you asking questions. Josh Wilson asked, "What do you think of the attendance drop off, and should we be concerned?" I think we answered that. I'm not concerned. I think I only get concerned if this happens like throughout most of a season, right? Like,
correct.
That's what I get concerned. Right now, a one-off game here, there, that's fine.
Right.
All right, let's jump down to Russell Varner.
Ooh, Rusty,
good old Rusty. We need to get him on the show again sometime soon.
I agree.
Russell Varner asks, did Saturday erase or ease your worries about the team's offense, or are they still there? And since I started with Matt last time, I'm going to go to David this time.
They're still there. I don't want to say like, I mean, we went a half without scoring again, right? And so Portland's no slouch, but they're also not like a world beater this year from that perspective. So they're still there. We're still getting some output and production from our younger guys. I just really want it to be consistent week in and week out. Like, I mean, like from NYCFC, we scored a goal, but then, we let in 2 goals. Minnesota, we didn't score any goals. So over a 3-game stretch, we've scored 3 goals, but 2 of which came in the same game. So like for me, it's not consistent enough for me, especially if we're not able to keep clean sheets like we should. We kept one this week, but for me, I just really want to get Enzo going. I want to get the wingers going from that point of view. So there's still some concerns, but this game did help me feel a wee bit better.
Mm-hmm. How about you, Matt?
I still have concerns. We missed some early opportunities, and that was alarming. And that's been kind of consistently happening. So it's still there. It's, again, not too high, not too low. I thought we dominated this game. I think we just absolutely smacked Portland. Like, they really didn't have much for us. I just thought we did such a great job that it kind of masked, those early misses and everything like that. And we were able to, get into the game more and finally finish off chances. But that concern's still there. And again, the big question is who's going to be the goal scorer? Yeah, and who's going to be our main guy up front? And those questions haven't been answered yet. So, so there's still concerns for sure.
Yeah, the only thing I'd say that I agree with both of you. Like it's made me feel a little bit better in some places, but there's still a lot of concerns. But I was texting y'all this when I was watching the replay, like seeing the way Petkovic, is it Petkovic or Petkovic? I'm being that guy right now.
I've heard Petkovic.
That's what I've been saying. I just want to make sure
that's why you go with Nikola, because then that way you're not questioning.
There you go.
Then I want to say Ricola and start singing the jingle. I don't do that.
Nikola.
There you go.
Oh, that's a new chant for him. Nikola. There you go. See, look at that. We just made it right here.
While you're doing the wave. So the only thing I was going to say is seeing the way he played that attacking midfield role gave me a lot of like, ooh, I want to see him in that role more. Because other than, he missed a couple, shots early on. One he definitely should have made, but you said it earlier, like the way he strikes the ball is really good, and the way he was aggressively running into spaces and attacking, I felt really, really good about. So that was, and the way, I mean, we've seen it from Patrick before, but the way he kind of was aggressive, to a fault at some points being aggressive. But I think I like the way he played, and I like the energy Copetti brought off the bench. Like there were some positives, but especially seeing Petkovic, and the way he played that cam role, I felt really good about it. I'd like to see him in that spot a few more times and see how he does there, and see if he's. Yeah. I think that's still the thing they need to address in the summer, but at least maybe being a short term, how does he play for the next month or two?
Yep.
All right. Let's see. We should go into the next question from before. All right. So from Zach Whitley, pull this up. We have 3 more home games and 2 away games this month. How many points do we need out of those 5 for you to feel good heading into a brutal summer stretch of 3 home games and 6 away games in June and July? How about you, Matt?
15 to 16 points. We got to win all those home games. Win all those home games and then try to get a point on the road, because we've got to make up for some other games that we drop points. Minnesota comes to mind. So you got to make some of those up. You just have to take advantage of this home stint, because like Zach is mentioning here, it's a brutal summer stretch. So 15, 16 points.
How about you, David?
Agreed. No, so I would say 12 to 14 points would make me feel really good. Just like Swift said, the worst thing that can happen is and you see how congested the East is. We went from 11th to 7th just with one game, and that's that middle is just tight. So unless you're Miami with 30 million points already, you're going to need as many points as you can, especially for us to stay competitive during the summertime for that next window to open up, and we can get that other DP hopefully.
Did I do my math wrong?
I mean, you said 5. We got 5 points out of 3 games there, but I was saying 15 points.
I thought you were being aggressive that you wanted every single home and away game. You wanted to win every.
I think I did my math wrong there. Sorry.
I thought you were joking. No. You stayed strong, and I was like, oh, he's not messing around.
I was just trying to help you out there a little bit.
No, I'm horrible at math. Sorry, guys. No, win those 3 home games, so that gives you.
That gives you 9 points.
Yeah.
So I would say 9 to 10. Hey, 15 would be great. But no, 9 to 10 would be good out of that stretch. I still stick to that. You got to win those home games and try to pick up a point in one of those 2 away matches. Chicago would be a good one. I know it's a midweek one, but that'd be a good one and a good team to get a point.
We got to have Jeff come back on for the Chicago game week. Talk about deep dish all over again.
Yeah, I was out that time, so I've yet to do an episode with Jeff.
Yeah, there you go. I do want to pull up a comment from our YouTube. Michael says, I think the biggest win last week was our defense stopping Portland. We should have and did score against one of the worst defenses, but the defense who started the season so strong had some rough matches there in the middle, again, coming on and shutting down a good team. I agree. And that was the win that I saw out of that one too.
Was Portland missing some players on that game? Okay.
Yeah, they were missing Evander, they were missing Diego Chara, but to be able to really dominate a team that is the second, I think they're second in the whole entire, or they were second in the whole entire league in scoring. So, yeah, it's pretty good. I mean, they did not look good at all against us. I think we really did well in the middle, and our back line was just very solid.
Didn't Neville say that Portland's going to have one of the biggest gets in the summertime, one of the highest spent DPs, and here they are.
Well, so I mean, Evander, I will say, he's a big miss for Portland. He is really, really good. So that hurt them, but he missed last game too. So I mean, we didn't have a Bada, so it all whatever.
Yeah. It's hard to we've talked about this in the past before. You can't look at injuries too much because injuries happen throughout the season. You still got to play whoever you got. We were missing players for various reasons too. It's fine. Yeah. Greg did point out, I'll pull up Greg Fenwick in the comments, said he pointed out too that the player that got hurt in the first half, I can't remember the name right now, but one of the really good defenders. And they were already, I feel pretty thin on the back line as well. And so losing a guy in the first half didn't help them any. But yeah, they're starting center back. So, all right. Let's see. We'll go back to some of our questions. El Professor asks, Patrick had a couple of great chances throughout the game. With Copetti finally scoring, how do you feel about Nashville? Who should start? I know we touched on a little bit of this earlier. Did we answer this question already, or do you want to fill in on who you actually think starts?
Go ahead, Swift.
I think I would do exactly what we did this game. I think I would start Patrick and say, hey, Copetti, you did well. Just got it. Yeah, that was just one game. You
And
gotta do more.
we played Nashville pretty well last time, and I think Pat started. That was during Enzo's stretch where he was hurt, right? So
I think so.
was it? I can't remember, but I thought we played
Yeah.
Nashville pretty well for all
We
things
typically
considered.
we typically play them pretty even. I think we match up really well with them. So I have high hopes.
Yep. Yep. All right. Again from El Profesor. This kind of gets to what I was talking about a little bit earlier too. Petkovic has had some good games leading up to Saturday. He finally got his goal. Would you play him as our number 10 from now on, or do you expect more rotation at that position? I believe Matt started last time, so I'll make David go first this time.
I mean, don't fix what works for the time being. I would say stick with it because the production hasn't been there all season. I mean, you've got players like Breck and Scotty who can come in, and if he has a bad game, can sub in, hopefully make a difference. He's a U22 designated player as it is, so might as well, not designated player, sorry, U22 initiative, whatever MLS rules are. But I mean, you view him as the future anyways. Get him minutes, get him experience, get him used to the field a little bit. So we've had the best flashes with him in there, sadly, so far, and just stick with it, man. Just don't put him on this pedestal to start next week and be like, I expect 2 goals from you and assist, and or be like Messi where you have like 3 goals and 2 assists in 1 game or something like that. You know what I mean? So just be realistic with the expectation for him. That's all.
Yeah, agreed. Matt, anything else?
Yeah, he's been doing all the things that we've wanted someone in that role to do. He turns, he runs, he gets in good spaces, he can shoot the ball well. So I would absolutely start him again. You have Breck, you have Scott, like you guys mentioned, that can come in as subs in the second half. And I don't know how long Abada's going to be out anyway. So we could see Brecht out wide again anyway. So yeah, I would go the same thing.
What not to piggyback off the professor's question here, but where does Ben Bender fit into that situation? Because and I think Dean's even said that he views him as an attacking mid type player, doesn't view him as a winger, right? So do you see Bender fighting for minutes as a sub? I don't think he comes in as a starter, but he would have to beat Breck, Scott, and Nikola to even get any minutes in that position, right?
I don't see Ben, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but let's just think this through. He's been injured for a very, very long time. He's got to get some minutes in his legs. He's got to go to Crown Legacy and play some games before he even remotely, I think, factors into anything. Then he has to beat out those folks. So, like we've mentioned this before, it's going to be very, very difficult for Ben to break back into the side. Not to say that he can't, and not to say that I don't want him to, but he's got a lot going against him right now. He's got to rehab first, and then again get some game minutes in. You don't want to just throw him right back in as soon as he comes back. He needs to go play, I think, some with Legacy just to get some game minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. I did want to pull up a question from the chat earlier, and it's from Elliot Fox, and I'm going to edit this because I think he wrote the wrong player name, but if I'm incorrect on this, please tell me, Elliot. But he says he wrote
such a good
Petkovic,
picture. Sorry, I just have to stop. It's
I'm assuming he means Privet here. Do you think that's right?
I think that's what he means. Yeah.
So he says, with all due respect, but is Privet that good, or does Malanda make other center backs look amazing? I like the kid, but I fear the day Malanda moves on. And I like how he ended it. Thanks, a concerned Mintazin. I like that. It's good. Thoughts on Privet, Matt?
Privet's done really, really well. I do think he benefits from Malanda and that leadership and just having someone super stable behind him. If he is to make a mistake, he has that coverage. I also think he's got Gieri and Nathan Byrne back there too, also to cover. So especially, I think Gieri can help him. But Andrew has a really good head on his shoulders. He sees the game really, really well. He's good with the ball at his feet. He's got a lot. I think he leads the team in clearances. So he's held his own. So he's not like, super dependent on anybody, but I think he has greatly benefited from that Malanda pairing. And I think it's been a good partnership.
Yeah, I think like you said, he leads the team in clearances. I think blocks as well or something like that, but some other stat. But like what a crazy find and situation. I remember like last year we're like, who's coming in at playing at center back for us? Like former midfield that we just drafted. Like what is this? And then
yeah,
here we
and
are.
it goes back to our super draft choices. Think about everybody that we drafted. I mean, I'm sure, has anybody been a quote unquote bust? We've used everybody, right?
Other than Diop, mostly. I mean, I haven't really seen Diop, but
and he's on the bench, so I mean he can be there.
Yep.
I just think it's super fascinating that we've done that well in the draft, and maybe we need to get I want to try to get Bobby Blair back on. We need to get Thomas back on. Like I want to know like who's really pulling the trigger on these super draft guys. Like they've done a really, really good job with it.
They're all going to take credit. I would.
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah.
I'm just going to put it out in the world again. Can we please call him a defender in the starting lineups in the stadium?
Yes.
Can we just,
they should.
Why are we still calling him a midfielder? He hasn't played in midfield
once.
ever. For Charlotte. I don't know why this bothers me so much, but it bothers me every time we do like the starting lineup in the stadium. They call him midfielder. All right, I'm off my soapbox. That was my one gripe.
No, we need the Corey rant once an episode now. That's the tradition now.
That's the one. I'm going to keep it calm today. Another question from the chat earlier from Michael again. He says, when we say summer, what month are you expecting the DP signing to occur?
When does the window open, Swift? Is it June or July?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know off the top of my head.
I'll look it up now. Y'all can fill time.
So I think, I mean, if you can look it up, but I'm pretty sure it's like either early July or late June, because when we've brought people in mid to late July, like that's historically where we brought them in. And we always complained like, oh, it's taking so long. Oh, Zach put it in the chat. July 18th.
July 18th.
So
to
there
August
we go.
14th. Yeah.
Yeah. So like it is a smaller window. So like we've always complained like, oh, it's like July 31st. We're bringing guys in, like they have to get their green card or, get fitness, whatever it is. So, for me, I would want to, I hate to say this, and I don't want to set the bar too high. That first week, if you really have someone designated as a designated player, you need to get that guy as soon as possible, especially if you're expecting them to contribute and help carry the team into the playoffs in the back half of the year. You need them as soon as possible. Should not be this August late signing. Then we have to get them a green card process, and then we have to wait 2 more weeks to get fitness. And then the next thing you know, it's like September, and they're here for 4 weeks or 5 weeks before the playoffs.
Yeah, I think we have who we want. What
a tease of a statement right there.
Oh, right.
And you're not going to tell us who you think it is.
It's Matt Swift. That's why he knows. That's who it is.
That lingering out there.
Yeah. There you go.
I love it. That's great. All right. Something to chew on for a little while there. Let's go back to some of our previous questions.
Hold on, just real quick. It's not just chew for a little while. It's going to be, you need to chew on that for the next 2.5 months.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, I'll jump to this question real quick from Kevin that he just asked, because it's a follow-up to that, which y'all were just talking about, is should the expectation be that a DP sign in the summer makes that big of an impact in the current season, or should we view it as a more strategic roster build move?
That's a good question. And hey, Kevin's a friend of mine.
Nice.
Hi, Kevin. I know it's a good question. I think this will be the impact. I think they're trying to really go for it here. So I think this will be more impact, but I mean, I still think it's going to be building on to what we have, but I think they're really going to try to swing for the fences on this one.
Well, and think about too, I mean, like technically, if Enzo stays as our DP and stays here, he's a younger guy. Lee Labata is a younger guy. So your 2 DPs are younger guys that could be the future. This guy doesn't have to be the spring chicken. It could be someone that could come in and impact and be, super supportive and help push us over the edge next year or two, versus someone that we're like, hey, I hope he works out over the next 3 or 4 years and sell him,
David, did you put a question in our own?
What? What? What are you talking about? First, look at that photo. Like, that is a great photo, first of all. And then,
unbelievable.
Yeah, I know. I did put that in there. Sorry. Yeah. But no, I have to ask, like why is my kit so good and you wearing the Pop-Tart kit? I have to ask that question because we're talking off the air. So why are you wearing the Pop-Tart kit today?
I purposely wore this Saturday out of defiance. I was like, damn it, I'm going to wear this jersey come hell or high water. I don't care about the wins and losses with this thing. We're going to win, damn it. And I was just like, again, had a lot of bourbon. So I was very like, I'm going to wear this jersey and we're going to win. So there we go. And we did.
Sorry, I know it's totally ridiculous that I have a picture of myself with a question on my own show with me sitting here.
I saw it pop up and I was like, David Gusler. I know. What in the world? Okay.
I know we can make this even better. You ready?
No, let's not do that. So.
Let's just spotlight David next to his own question. How about that?
Oh, you know what? I should have worn my QC Royals reffing jersey.
Yes, I need you to wear that next episode, please. Seriously. Yeah.
Greg asks if he pays $6.99. I should clarify, $6.99. Will you tell us who the DP is going to be, Matt?
I think Matt's going to need a lot more. I think he's going to need a lot more money than that.
That's the starting bid in the chat is $6.99.
No,
you got to work that a lot more.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go to moving around some stuff here. Question from Fatbird, Donnie. What are your thoughts on the Justin Meram video that Top Bin put out, which I have not had a chance to watch yet, so I'm going to have to lean on y'all for your thoughts on this one. Does anybody want to jump in first to answer this question?
Did you see it? Did you see it, Swift, or no?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll let you go first, son.
Justin is I like Justin a lot. I really do. He's very opinionated. I was a little kind of, and look, it's a Top Bin did a really good job of, he's been doing these interviews that I think that's kind of where the $6.99 thing that Greg is talking about.
Yeah.
But Top Bin is doing this kind of cool thing where if you sign up for the newsletter and you pay a little more, you get extra bonus content. You know, he's had Swiderski on and he had Justin Meram. I think it's a really cool added bonus that they're doing. So I haven't seen the full interview yet. I only saw like a little clip. So take that with a grain of salt. The clip kind of referenced, why Justin is not with the team. He also kind of went into Lattanzio and also kind of took a swipe at Copetti. So he kind of starts off like, hey, I wanted to stay at Charlotte FC, but he used disrespectful a couple times in the negotiations. I don't think he liked the way that went. And I understand that from a player perspective. I also too think that we had to make that move in order to open up other things. So I get both sides of it. I was not in the negotiations. I don't know all the details, and I don't know exactly what all happened, but Justin is clearly not afraid to speak his piece. I was a little shocked about it. He talked about Lattanzio and how Lattanzio really, and I'd heard this before, and I think we've mentioned on the show, like, he's just very weird about like, oh, you did well in training. This guy's been playing horrible. You're up now. And then this guy will come in. Oh, you could play this game. Oh, you didn't play well. Oh, no, next guy's up. It was like very inconsistent. And that's why I think we saw a lot of like rotation. So we mentioned that. And then at the end, and this was recorded Thursday, he did take a little swipe at Enzo saying basically like, all I'm saying is I have as many goals as Copetti does. And of course, at that point, Copetti had 0 goals. That was a little like salty.
I will say that was salty, but that is a pretty funny line. I'm not going to lie.
I mean, and I think it just kind of goes back to like, hey, I mean, and Miriam's whole point was like, hey, I know I'm this age, but my production is this. And that's why you should have kept me and paid me and everything like that. So,
I mean, I don't.
Yeah. And I think.
Go
sorry.
Ahead. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I think that interview comes out tonight. For those who have signed up for that, so I'm very eager to see how that all played out. But I think it's really, really cool that Top Bin's doing that. They've been putting out a ton of content, and it's really cool to get like those exclusive like little interviews like that.
Yeah, that 699 reference to that totally went over my head. So when I pulled that comment up, I thought he was just making bids there. But yeah, they're doing great stuff and support people that are doing good work around the team. I absolutely do that. So cool.
But and I'll just add
Yeah.
to this real quick because I agree with everything you said, Swift. Like nothing, like too much more to that. But like, I get the player's value on it. The player's going to come in there and say, "This is what my worth is," because I mean, especially at his age, he doesn't have much mileage left, and he's going to be like, "Hey, listen, this is what I'm valuing myself, my time, my effort." And he was brought in to help stabilize that locker room. We even talked about it when we tried to like trade Andre to RSL for him, and that faltered and fell through. We brought him in because we needed more mature players, and that's when we brought in Scott Arfield and other players to help kind of this locker room. And so he obviously did that. The only thing that kind of gets me is that his and again, I'm probably never gonna have Justin on the show. I mean, so I'm probably never asking this question, but for to be known as a locker room guy and then be like 6 months later after not being with the team to be like, man, screw these guys and taking shots at a former teammate, like,
well,
not really a great look.
We've kind of mentioned that maybe Enzo hasn't had. There's been some tension, right? And you could see it on the field last year. So I think things have gotten better. People change, dynamics change. But yeah, I could see like if I'm a player and Charlotte FC's kind of like take this deal or leave it, and I'm like, damn, that's messed up. Like so, like I get some of the animosity, but there's always two sides to the story, of course.
Yeah, definitely. All right, we have a couple more questions. Both fun ones, I would say. Nice. I think I know the answer to this one. I think it came up at some point, but Von Pullman, friend of the show, sometimes co-host, asks, "Did Gusler ever give Swift that Blanton's?" If you've been a long time listener, apparently David had a bottle of Blanton's that he bought for
like
Matt
8 months
for like a long
really did
time.
like a really long
time. And I don't know how often we said it on air or if it was before or after we stopped recording, but it came up a lot during these conversations of when that ever was going to get delivered. But Vaughn apparently is over here living it up on Old Fashions, so nice. He wanted to check and make sure that Matt, you got your bourbon.
I did. I finally got it. Thank you, David, for picking it up and holding on to it for dear life for health or smart.
I just made sure it was aged for you and it was nice and it had good condition and care. And I mean, and for the record, I gave it to you I think 3 months ago. So I mean, you've had it for a little while. It's not like I just dropped it off last week, you know.
Yeah, well, with David, since David has moved, it's been a lot harder to meet up and everything like that.
Because it's not like we can be like, "Hey, Swift, here's this bottle of Blanton's at the tailgate lot. Have fun, buddy." And then just you know.
Yeah. That's right.
Doesn't work too well.
But yeah.
All right. Last question from Kate Kostersky. What's your must-have at a Kentucky Derby party after the Mint Juleps? And I'm trying to decide if I want to start with Matt because Matt threw. Yeah, we're gonna start with him. Okay. I don't know if we wanted David's answer first and let Matt close, but David just nodded vigorously at me to let Matt start. So Matt, since you threw your Kentucky Derby party this weekend, what's your must-have after the Mint Juleps?
Hot browns and cigars. Look it up. It's a food.
Sorry, you said hot brown?
Hot browns. Yeah, look it up, everybody that's listening. And it's a food. It's a staple that you should have at any derby party. And cigars, man.
So it says it's a hot brown sandwich is an American hot sandwich that was created at the Brown Hotel in Louisville. It's a variation of a Welsh rarebit, whatever the hell that is. It's an alternative to ham and egg. Like
I need more description of it. Okay, so here we go. It's an open-faced sandwich of turkey, ham, and bacon covered in a creamy Mornay sauce. And baked or broiled until the bread is crisp and the soft sauce begins to brown. That actually sounds pretty amazing. So I'm on board.
Yeah. See, Hover said hot browns and derby pie. I've actually never had a derby pie though, and I want to do that. I've actually never done that. I think Kevin's been a couple of times too to the derby.
In my defense, I was Googling what a hot brown sandwich was, and the Wikipedia came up, and it gave me the complete history of a hot brown.
You had to click the actual link, David. That's what I finally did because I was reading the same summary you did, and I'm like, that's not telling me anything. So I got to click the link, digging a little deeper here. My answer was going to be a nap, but
man, I was struggling yesterday.
Depending on how early you start the party, a nap might be good after the mint juleps and the actual running. So
yeah.
So I Googled Kentucky Derby food just so I could add to this conversation because I have no idea. I know, Matt, you've invited me to these Derby parties before, and I've never been able to get a chance to go. And eventually, I'll get one of these days I come up there. But
sure.
The number one thing on here, other than your hot brown sandwich, is pimento cheese, and I love pimento cheese.
Yeah.
So, like,
what's
dude,
not
I'm
love
sold.
about pimento cheese? It's
just
the
bourbon.
greatest.
Give me some bourbon. Give me some pimento cheese. Crackers, sandwich, whatever, man. I'm gold. You never told me you have pimento cheese. I would have been up there yesterday.
Oh boy.
Just joking.
Oh boy.
You just need to bring the pimento cheese. Like, just bring a vat of it, and just like that's. I'm just gonna sit here with some crackers.
We did talk about in our in the MCC Slack of having a bourbon night here at my house. Corey, you're invited. David, I'm not sure about. But I think we should do it for like an away game, like have people come here and we watch the game and like do some tastings and stuff.
Yeah,
it would also take David like 4 hours to get here from where he lives. So
it would.
It would.
We didn't do quite as fancy of a tasting, but I remember we watched one away game. Was it the first season we got together at your house?
It was.
We
did a bourbon night.
We definitely had some bourbons. I don't know if it was like an official tasting, but we had some.
Vaughn was there. My buddy Brandon was there.
Yeah,
Corey was there. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Let's do that.
I think. Yeah.
Let's do that again.
We could do a live stream. It'd be great.
And David, we have an extra guest room. You since you're driving for 4 hours, you can just stay here.
Yeah,
that'd be kind of fun.
Making a plan. All right, I think that's all the questions we had. Unless you want to bring up anything else.
No, I was just losing my mind a second ago with Greg's comment, just saying, just don't look it up. Just don't look it up on Urban Dictionary. So, so I think that's how we end the show right there. So,
oh boy. David can't even compose himself to say anything. I love it. Well, thank you all for watching, listening, however you're taking this in. We appreciate it. I'm just gonna have to keep stalling because David's not gonna be able to come back this episode. He's done. He's done. Matt, you'll be back with a preview episode
I'm good
in a few days.
Yeah. Probably come out Friday.
Cool. So we'll have that up. So, yeah.
I have one thing to mention. You guys be on the lookout tomorrow. I think there is a big community report coming out that's going to talk about all the things that the team has done in the community, all the things that the supporter groups have done in the community. It's like an community impact report. So be on the lookout for that. I don't know exactly what time it's going to come out. I think maybe in the morning. It's really, really cool. Can't wait to read it all. And I think we're going to try to get some of the people that were involved in that on the show next week.
Cool.
So be on the lookout for that. I think it's going to be pretty awesome.
Sweet. Sounds good. Well, thanks, Matt. Thanks, David. Thanks, everybody, for watching and listening. And we'll see y'all later.
See you guys. Oh, I hope you all liked it, but if you didn't, you can scram. If you did like it, hit that like button and subscribe.